great. I'll be in Exuma, Bahamas. Meet up at Chat and Chill. So if you need, you can crash on our couch in our condo. All right. Look at us. Hi. That's Rob's camera.
That's crooked.
That's Andrew's camera. That's Rob's camera. Andrew's. Rob's. Yeah. Every camera. Woo!
Arizona is a wildly beautiful place, brimming with over 100 brewing companies. I'm Rob Fulmer, the Executive Director of the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild. I'm joined by Deputy Director Andrew Bauman. Together we cover the state, bringing you the best of what's happening at our breweries and beyond. Welcome to Arizona Beer Frontier. It's like our every camera solution, like 50-state solution.
I was looking at 360-degree cameras because I'm going to on my trip, and I was like, oh, I want one of those things because those are so cool.
No, that'd be a good festival cam too. I looked at them too.
Bro,
are we like
so cool?
Is like, you know how the whole
menstruation cycle gets together? That's us, except electronics.
Kind of sounds that way. Yeah, I looked at that too.
Oh, we got a Tableau. Yeah, that's right. I did too. What?
Yeah.
Huh.
So
and what was your conclusion on the 360 cam?
I liked it. I just didn't have the money. I mean, they're kind of spendy.
Yeah. But there's several different kinds. Did you see one that you like better than others in your research?
Remember.
There's Insta360,
Insta360,
X2, X3, X4.
Oh,
those are the model numbers.
I just looked at the one. They had it on a pole. It automatically gets rid of the pole, like whenever you're holding it out. And
all of those will do it. X4 is the newest one, and it has a screen just like your GoPro, like wide. And essentially, they're saying use it like this as an action cam. It's so small. It's like that big. Use it as an action cam, but if you want to go 360, you can do that too.
Yeah.
That's their shtick.
So it takes it in all directions, and you can edit it. You can leave it as a 360 experience, which is cool for showing the scope of like, you know, a festival or a vista, a landscape or whatever, but you can also target it. And it's good for like showing in-car driving things because you put it like a little bit off your shoulder. Yeah, I saw all that stuff. Like that's out of my budget right now. So
that might be in my budget. But no, I don't need another action camera. I already have 3 of them.
That's what happens when you wear a wool coat. It's warm and itchy. I feel sorry for all you have to wear a coat all the time. Other parts of the country.
I mean, not here. Are we recording?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, good.
It's counting down.
Yeah.
So we're on the eve of your vacation.
I know. Actual vacation.
How many days? A whole week?
Yeah. We leave on Saturday night at 11 at night. So that just means I have all day to get ready.
Right.
To unpack and pack and unpack and pack and unpack and pack like 8 times.
What?
That's what I do.
Okay. So you're going to the Bahamas.
Exuma, yes.
And
when people hear Bahamas, they think Nassau, they think Atlantis Resort kind of thing. It's not that.
An exciting trip to the Bahamas. We'll get 2 of your round-trip excursions from Los Angeles to the Bahamas, where you spend a glorious week in Nassau, Bahamas at the famous Nassau Beach Hotel. Located on its own private white sand beach, the Nassau Beach Hotel is known for its water sports, parasailing.
The shark bite.
Yeah, that happened. It's the perfect thing to happen the week before you're taking your
you're
paranoid wife.
You're not doing any of that stuff, though.
We'll definitely be in the ocean with sharks. I have been with sharks in the waters when I've gone there before. Stingrays, sharks, sea turtles. Dolphins, my buddy sent a video of a whole bunch of dolphins swimming next to him earlier this week. Last week, I don't know. He's been there for 10 days already. He's just going to stay another 10.
And there's a brewery there?
There's a brewery in Nassau. There's not a brewery in Exuma.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the beer is just your typical macro lager, I would guess.
The beer that we will mostly consume is called Kalik. It's that's made in Nassau, and it's a Heineken brand.
Okay.
There's also lots of Amstel there, and Amstel Malta.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to bring beer?
No, you can't. No.
No, too heavy?
You can't import beer.
Can't?
I mean, you can bring up to 1 quart of alcohol, whether that be beer, wine, or spirits, but that's just a waste of time.
Right. So you're going to drink a lot of rum?
Yeah. Yeah. We got some deal on wine. I'm not going to drink that, but everyone likes wine.
Are you still going to make beer?
I'm going to make
Okay,
beer.
break that down. You have 7 days. You have a
Right.
3-day ferment?
Sure. It's Kvike. I did an experiment this week. My beer did not take off, but I figured out that's because it was like 70 degrees or below, and Kvike's just not going to like that. So I put a heating pad on it, and when I did that, it kicked up real nice.
Kvike is a yeast that does not throw off as many or zero. Zero negative for...
Interesting
phenolics.
flavor. Sometimes it can be fruity. Sometimes it can be...
But not the typical...
No, you're not going to get like Band-Aid, and you're not going to get burnt
You're not going to
rubber.
get
and-
fusel alcohols?
No.
Like very hot alcohol?
Right.
Okay.
So
So extract and specialty grains.
extract and specialty grains, some or dry malt extract, specialty grains, some table sugar. Don't tell me you can't do that because it's totally fine.
I'm not saying that.
I mean, I'm
sugars
just,
are part of
people just say all the
British
time.
brewing.
Oh, you never put table
Invert
sugar.
sugar, Belgian candy
Sure.
sugar. I mean, table sugar, sure, but you know.
I'm gonna try and figure out an indigenous item to add.
Right.
Oh, so and then also I'll have hops. I also have hop extracts. I'm not sure how that's gonna go quite yet.
So cane sugar.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to call that an indigenous ingredient, though.
Why not?
I don't know. I want it to be something more like a fruit or something.
Okay.
Maybe a flower. Maybe I'll throw a flower in there.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a collapsible 5-gallon water, like camping
Right.
thing.
So you're doing
my
a 2.5
fermenter.
gallon boil and adding water.
Yeah.
Okay. And not
I mean,
oil.
probably not 2.5 gallon. I don't think there's going to be a 2.5 gallon pot there.
Yeah. 6 quarts.
Probably.
Yeah.
They have a spaghetti pot.
Yeah. So you're going to boil twice?
Maybe I'll do it in 2 batches. Yeah.
Interesting. I just talked to somebody that brewed in their kitchen years ago, and like they didn't have a big enough pot, and they had to do. So they used 2 pots, and they kept the other pot warm in the oven. So
Okay.
I think they were trying to do a mash too. So But you're not going to do that. You're just going to. All right.
Yeah.
You know, and if it all goes, bring extra yeast. If it all goes terribly, you can just do that with fruit juice of some sort, right? Make some sort of alcoholic wine.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Nah, I won't do that.
Okay. So you're
I'm
doing
not
that.
passionate about alcoholic fruit wine. I'm not doing it to do alcohol. I'm doing it to make beer because I love beer.
You're doing that. I'm going to be doing some things next week, but let's just get into the news. And maybe I'll
Oh,
sprinkle-
hey, Rob.
Andrew Bauman.
Nice to see you today.
I just saw something about the musicality of language and how it makes you remember things. So there are definitely people whose name sound better when you use their full name.
Yes.
That is you.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, that's how it's very musical to me. So
Very nice. Yeah.
And, you know, Rob is just Rob, right?
Yeah. Boom.
So
Gotcha.
You had the Hey Rob.
In fact, when I read if I get mail or something and it has your full name,
Yeah.
I'm like, who? Oh, God, what is that? I can never imagine that being your name.
Now, if that was more Hispanic origin, it would be Roberto, which has a little bit more flow to it. Like, we're not gonna go there.
Flair, too.
So in the news, Glendale, Arizona came out. Glendale ranks #1 in the U.S. for remote work. Remote work was a thing during the pandemic, and it definitely had enough traction to change some trends. But right now, the trend is moving away from work from home, back to the office.
You know, I've got a lot of personal
Yeah,
in this because my wife has worked from home and she does not want to go back to the office. And
right.
it is a battle in their company that the executive level people are trying to get people back to the office, including hiring only people in the future that will be work from office.
Right.
And holding promotions unless you work in the office. If you're in a job where you can work from home all the time, that's the only job you can have. So we really pay attention to this a lot. Sure. And there are people on each side. There are people who are saying, oh, the fight's over and work from home won. And there are people saying, oh, the fight's over and everyone's going to be back in the office next year. And then I just heard one the other day that said hybrid is the way it's going to be. 2 days a week is pretty much everyone can expect to do that, but no one's going to have to be in the office all the time. I don't know what the reality is. It's really tough.
Sure. Well, the reality for cities is office space and
cities being like
towns. I mean, larger than towns, like Tucson. Tucson has a
do you
problem.
mean like the municipal organization called the city or the geographic area called the city?
I'm saying cities who may have either of those conditions. So Tucson is an example. Their downtown does not have the office workers back like they normally do, and this is it's being seen in certain areas. Like don't have a lunch crowd. Places aren't opening for lunch, even if they're restaurants or that kind of thing. That is what cities are dealing with,
right?
In various areas. So yeah, a hybrid thing is happening, but the implication, and this goes back to when we talked about trends. Anecdotally, we work next to a restaurant, and we're seeing people come in earlier for happy hour, right? 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock for sure, instead of a little bit after 5 like it traditionally has. Meaning people are leaving from their homes, presumably,
right?
Or they're in this hybrid situation. Could be too. Like their hours are no longer, 8 to 5. There's that song 9 to 5. Like, that's like a East Coast thing, right? Because like everybody
Dolly
here,
Parton.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but
like people roll in at 9 o'clock in East Coast, but like for I don't know, all the office jobs I ever heard were 8 to 5. I don't know. Anyway, so we're seeing that, and also Sundays being more of a drinking day than it used to be because people are like, well, I work from home on Monday, so I could be in my jammies all morning. No big deal. And I think that's more true for women because I'm not drawing with a big paintbrush here, painting with a big paintbrush, but they take a little longer to get ready to go places. I think
you're not surprising anyone.
No, it's a culture of expectation,
yes.
right?
I mean, it's terrible. And
more likely to have to pick up laundry, dry cleaning. We can wear the same shit. Get away with it. I don't know. It's not fair. Anyway, Glendale.
Hey, you know what? Bonnie has a Friday shirt that she wears every Friday.
Yeah.
And it's a logoed corporate t-shirt, long sleeve. That's it.
Yeah.
Every single Friday. She walks out, I'm like, oh, Friday shirt. She's like, hell yeah.
So Glendale has a couple of breweries in that area. So percent working from home in Glendale, 17.7%.
That seems very high.
It is high. They since 2021, which we can agree is post-pandemic, the increase of residents in Glendale who work from home went up 37.5%.
Since 2001?
2021, sorry.
2000, that's what I meant, 2021?
Yeah.
So then it used to be like 10% and now it's 17?
Something like that. Yeah. Remote work in Arizona in general decreased by 4.2%.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah. So
28,000 workers. Huh.
So in general, I think nationally, more people are returning to work. Now, I don't know from the study whether that means if you went one time that you're going back to work or 2 days or what the threshold is.
Sure.
But, it just means that if you're in these areas, and it's good to be aware of them, that you might have to adjust your staff or you might want to change your hours to reflect people working from home.
So we're not just doing this to talk about remote work because we're doing it to talk about how remote working affects beer. But have you been on the roads? Because the traffic seems less than I've seen it. Like it seems less.
Yeah.
Is that seasonal? College is back just now, so
this is when we get snowbird traffic and all that stuff. I don't know. We try not to drive during those times.
Yeah.
We don't have to. So every once in a while I get stuck in it. And I'm surprised. The other city, by the way, Buffalo, New York, that saw an increase. There are other cities, but those are the two I wanted to talk about.
I do understand that Buffalo is doing some economic incentives to get people to move there and do remote work from their city, which is kind of interesting. Also, they have a football team that's doing some things right now.
Buffalo, I've been to Buffalo. I talked about it a little bit, but Buffalo is a little version of Milwaukee, kind of Midwest, grain silos. And it has the advantage of being sort of the test bed for a lot of the improvements that were made to New York City. So the designer of the parks there also designed Central Park, and they got a sort of a boost on everyone in the country because of their proximity to Niagara Falls, where they put in one of the first hydroelectric plants. So they had many world fairs there to show off the new technology. So they were one of the first cities to have all that stuff.
Cool.
So I like that city. I had fun. And I didn't even go nuts on wings. So yeah, it's something that
I had wings for lunch today.
Yeah. Yes. We had lunch with Ken. Ken had wings. I had a burger. I had the same burger I did 2 days ago.
Oh, where are my wings on my desk?
Your what? Your notes?
My wings.
You wings. Other news. Carlsberg acquires minority stake in McKellar.
Right. I don't really
does anyone care
get
about this?
anything. I don't understand what the deal is.
They're getting a 20% stake with the founder, Mikhail Jerdso. I think I said that right. I tried to get an accurate pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
Aiming to ramp up sales and distribution in Denmark.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole, one of our colleagues posted something, there's a big kerfuffle about McKellar. And I think they're more popular on the East Coast, obviously proximity-wise. And there's a whole evil twin brother thing in the industry, how they don't like each other. And I was going to click on that link and find all the drama. I'm like, you know what? I don't think so. I found somebody I follow on Twitter. He's from Ireland. He's called the Beer Nut writer. He said, imagine being upset at the McKellar selling a stake to Carlsberg here in the year 2024. Oh no, not McKellar is what you would probably say. Meaning, I don't think anyone cares.
They had the old AleSmith in San Diego. Was that McKellar? And then they closed it. It's closed now.
Yeah, they had some tap rooms. They had one in San Francisco. They had one in San Diego.
They had the old AleSmith brewery.
They had a rep out here, regional rep. He went to Strong Beer when we did it at Bellbank Park. He was super excited to be there and all that stuff. He was like, "This is a great festival. The weather's great." I don't know if he's still out in the market or not. But I do. I'm like, every once in a while, someone will get it. Do you remember the 1,000 IBU beer?
Oh yeah.
There were some things that
Nuclear Tactical Penguin.
Was that them too?
I think.
No, wasn't it?
That's BrewDog.
Wasn't it BrewDog? Yeah,
I get them mixed up a lot.
I was like, I did too. I don't know. I think they're in Hensley's catalog there they were, but who knows? They haven't signed up for Strong Beer, so I don't know if they're still in the market or not.
So McKellar sold part of its operation, took an investment from Carlsberg.
Right. That's the news.
Okay.
Yeah. Carlsberg. If you're
not McKellar.
if you do go to Europe, Carlsberg is a part of a lot of things, and they kind of have these crafty brands. So you're like, then you look at it and then you find out it's either Heineken or it's Carlsberg.
Yeah.
Carlsberg has a relationship with Brooklyn Brewing too, right? Brooklyn Brewing Company. We'll look into that. I think. I don't know.
I thought it was Kirin.
Yeah, I know, but I think
Carlsberg too. They do go to each side of both oceans.
Brooklyn sold brand rights in Europe, parts of Asia to Carlsberg for $130 million last year. By Justin Kendall, Brooklyn Brewery sold its international brand rights in Europe and parts of Asia to longtime collaborator Carlsberg for around $130 million last year.
Local news.
Local news.
Again, I couldn't even give you an analysis on it.
Okay.
It's an important company in Arizona. It's a Hensley and Company, ABI distributor, also carrier of many of our local brands. Lumberyard, Barrio, Four Peaks,
Greenwood. Oso.
Missing one. Anyway,
The Shop Beer Co.
Shop Beer Co. So I was always under the impression that
Andy McCain
Andy McCain,
was the.
right, the son of John McCain,
Well, he is. That's true.
through a different marriage, not
Cindy.
not Cindy McCain. I always thought he was the CEO. I guess he was not. He was the CFO. He was the COO. You know, I get what these different titles mean, but functionally, I thought he was more the face of the company than anyone else. It was Bob Delgado. Almost nobody knows, you know, as a craft consumer walking the street, nobody really knows
Yeah.
any of these people. I mean, McCain, by virtue of his name, and because he was on a lot of committees, he was part of the Super Bowl committee,
Super Bowl steering committee
stuff
and
like
all the
that.
other stuff. Sure.
So he's more likely to be on TV.
He's got some time to do
Yeah.
those civic things.
They've done a lot of restructuring. They've gone through some growing pains. They acquired Premier, I think it is, in New Mexico, another distributor. I don't know what this means.
So
congratulations to everybody there, because they promoted somebody to CFO.
Andy McCain now is CEO.
Yeah. So we will give that some time, but I don't
know what it means. If anyone has any idea what it means, drop them in the comments down below. Did I do it right?
You did. We
Thanks.
also have a
Smash that bell.
we also have a way to record your questions or comments. If you go to our website, what is it? azbeerfrontier.com. It's somewhere in there. It's in the description of the podcast. If you go to anything that gives that paragraph for what we're talking about, it's in there along with Strong Beer ticket link for that. That's going on. Or the YouTube channel. So anyway,
so you want to just jump in on Strong Beer real quick?
sure.
Arizona Strong.
You have some stats on that.
I really was trying to move this name to Arizona Strong, and I keep calling it Strong Beer.
That's all right. It's Arizona Strong.
If it's difficult for me to do it, it's impossible to get other people.
Hey,
to
there
do
are
it.
still people who call it Strong Ale
Oh my gosh.
because it was Strong Ale
Yeah.
Festival. And then they were like, well, you can make a strong lager, Doppelbock or something, right?
True.
So then they changed the name. And then, we were asked if we were ever going to change it further to reflect that there are ciders and meads and wines and some spirits.
Oh, that
I'm like,
did come up again.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, we have this
I would-
trademark.
I don't see a need to change that to what Arizona Strong Beverage Festival presented by the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild. I mean, if we're not making anyone be there,
It's Arizona Strong.
it's Arizona Strong.
It is a beer festival.
Yeah.
I think the beer festival connotes a little bit more about the experience than
Yes.
beer event, beer dinner. I don't know.
Right.
But we own the trademarks. We own the federal trademarks. We own the federal trademarks on that, on Real Wild and Woody, on Baja Beer Festival, Arizona Craft Brewers Guild, a couple other things. Choose AZ Brews. We own that federal trademark. And Arizona Strong and Real Wild and Woody have a mark of permanence, meaning we have, I don't know, like even better chance to fight off anybody. So don't use our marks inappropriately, please. Oh, Arizona Beer Week too. So we have that all trademarked.
Yeah, we have 157 breweries right now.
Nice. So comparative last year, it's about
More.
a little more. Okay.
A little more.
Right.
And Arizona breweries, we have more than we did last year.
Right.
Like 4 more.
Great.
There's been a little bit of change and some new ones coming in.
Footprint's going to get a
and
little
other ones.
larger. There are going to be some notable activations. I don't know that we shouldn't talk about those yet because they're not really fully
Too
formed.
soon.
Yeah.
Too soon.
But it will be an experience. As it
Hey,
always
once
has.
I get back from my vacation, it's going to be like full steam ahead. Tons strong beer all day, all night. I'm going to be eating it with a spoon.
Right. Well, thanks for phoning it in until today.
Super excited. Super excited.
joking, of course. Thanks. No, it has
You're
gotten
welcome.
easier working with the same partners, very capable partners at Salt River Fields. Nevertheless, there's always challenges. And part of it was, hey, we need to get a yes or no from some of you folks so that we can create the experience. And the longer we wait on that, the harder it is for us to get things going.
And here
get
we are,
activations.
past the deadline. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Other big news.
Other big news.
New
Back to the
Jersey.
news.
We've spent a fair amount of time in New Jersey.
And we've spent a fair amount of time talking about New Jersey.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I mean, not in New Jersey.
I haven't been to New Jersey. I have not been to New Jersey in 20 years.
I think it's been like 15 for me.
Yeah. I'd like to go. Home of John Hall.
Oh, super.
Carton Brewing, those guys over at Steal This Beer. I knew the Cape May folks. They were part of the breakup of the one organization there. There were two. They passed this bill.
Oh, wait.
And I'm
So we're talking
foreshadowing-
about like the guilds.
no. I'm just
Okay.
foreshadowing.
All right. Okay.
Just bear in mind they were
great.
There was one, and then there was two. As a collective, as a state, they faced this challenge in that craft breweries could not host special events in their tap rooms, coordinate with food trucks or restaurants to provide food service, sell snacks, and non-alcoholic beverages.
They could not sell any non-alcoholic beverages.
Right. So there was a brewery that was also a coffee shop, and technically speaking, they couldn't sell coffee, even though that was one of their core businesses. You couldn't provide anything but water, no soft drinks.
Water and beer. That's it.
Right.
Beer brewed on
Right.
premise.
So, and the most galling part of that is they were directed by their liquor department to take training. And one of the things they tell you in liquor training, and they did in New Jersey, is like, in order to prevent overservice, you
Have other options.
You should feed your customers food, yeah, or provide other non-alcoholic beverages.
That's right.
So
let's not do that, but let's also hold them accountable.
they
for
also
doing
had
that.
to file a special event license to put on a TV for a
turn-
game.
yeah.
So if you're hosting 4 World Series games in your local area,
And you had 25 permits.
that's 4 of them right there. And you had to file the permits whether they got to game 7 or not. So
Yeah, it was 60 days.
And if I know my permits, you don't get that money back. You don't get to go, oh, that didn't happen, we canceled, or nothing like that. I mean, I've run into that in our own state. It's not a big deal when you're not getting a license to put on a TV station. It's not a big deal, but it is a big deal.
Hey, what about karaoke night?
Nope,
What about trivia?
nope.
Oh my God.
Yoga, goat
What
yoga.
about
goat yoga? That's that kill me.
Slingo?
No, singo.
Singo? What's that?
It's bingo with singing somehow.
I don't.
I think. No, there was one article. It's a goat yoga. I'm like, so restaurants are going to corner the market on goat yoga. Not just yoga, but goat yoga.
Goat yoga at Chili's every Sunday morning.
Right. No. There was some other things, right? They had to give a tour.
Oh,
and
tons
then there was
of
questions
nonsense,
like,
man. How much could they sell to go?
Could I get a tour every day? Do I have to get the tour if I just had it yesterday? Like all that. Like all the things that you would think, government is going to be super terrible at.
That's what they were doing for sure.
And the function of the liquor department, it was not to do these things. They made it their mission. And this is why we have to be careful with some of these agencies. They made it their mission to promote the bars and restaurants, and the breweries were seen as an obstacle.
They were muscling in on the territory of the other license holders.
Right. So they had this essential same bill go through both houses, Senate or both chambers, House and Senate. It went to the governor's desk. This is an 18-month odyssey. Last year, it went to the governor's desk. He vetoed it.
Right. And said, nope, I like how you can't do nothing.
No, he said that may be how he felt, but what he said was, I want to take this I'm vetoing this because I want to take the opportunity to fix the entirety of the liquor system. And the big issue is quota licenses. So people had licenses that were worth arguably $1 million. Like casinos and very big liquor establishments or establishments that were primarily liquor are able to afford these licenses because they have high cost. Restaurants, smaller entities were not.
A little pizza joint on the corner.
So that did not get fixed. What they did was they put licenses that had been suspended a certain amount of time back in the system. We know that we've done that too, but that really doesn't change the value of the license very much. Doesn't necessarily make it more affordable, just makes them more available. So I think that's going to be a multi-year process to rationalize that. And it's going to be very difficult to unseat that system once you put it in.
Yeah. Casinos have a lot of money to sue.
Right.
And they will.
And by virtue of having a limited amount of licenses, you're saying for these 100,000 people, you got to get to see me or these other 20 people, and that's it. Something along those lines. So that didn't happen. But they did get some licenses that were in suspension or whatever back in the system of very limited utility, I feel, but at least it's a step. So that was not really solved. So they did it all over again, got it through both houses, and the governor signed the bill, okay, but he waited till the last possible moment and day to sign off on the bill. So the speculation was he was keeping his constituents, not the people of the state of New Jersey, but the people who potentially would fund some sort of Senate run.
This is Jersey, bro.
Yeah, Senate run or whatever, some other national office, be put on a cabinet at some point or something like that. And so that was his compromise.
His compromise was waiting until the last minute and then signing it. And now the breweries have the rights to do regular brewery things.
Right. As you would expect in their state, similar. They also,
I'm sure we have some rights they still don't have, but that's because we're.
They also, and we were on a call with the government affairs from the guild, Eric Orlando, and I didn't get a chance to ask him, but maybe I'm like, was the wait worth it? Meaning they could have solved a lot of these things and potentially, I mean, I don't know if there's politics for not saying that or, as there is.
It is 100% of what we were looking for in our previous legislation.
Eric Orlando leads the Brewers Guild of New Jersey. While he's happy to see this bill get a hearing yesterday, he wasn't thrilled to see breweries become a bargaining chip.
We got to this situation because of restrictions that were put in place by this administration. We also sent the governor a bill back in June that would have taken care of this 6 months ago. But here we are, right? And, we're happy to support a bill that once again is going to, fix the restrictions on breweries in the state.
But here's what else they got for waiting besides that. They got their capacity raised from 10,000 barrels to 300,000 barrels.
That's good
Right.
raise.
So 8 years ago, we had our change from, I don't remember, ours was 50,000. 40. We went to 200,000 and everyone thought that was a big number. And it is a big number. It is a big number. So it does kick the can down the road. I do think they have some breweries that, because of their geographic region and their proximity to a lot of inputs, meaning cardboard cans, I think they have an opportunity to maybe grow fast, get some breweries to that level faster. But in our state, we do have people approaching that 40,000 barrel limit that was historically what we had. And it was really good that we have that cap relief to not have to worry about that for a while. But at 200,000 barrels, even Four Peaks does not hit 200,000 barrels. And the cops are coming for us now.
That's a lot of beer. And okay, so they got the increased capacity for microbreweries. And
they created a farm brewery license.
Oh.
Which I'm not, that's kind of nebulous. I don't know what that means because, if it's 100% ingredients, that's probably no go, but probably not. They probably have certain
you have to have 25% of your ingredients grown in Jersey.
They're very close to New York State. who has this. So they probably had some good guidance on that from our friend Paul Leone and other folks at the New York State Brewers Association. They also got the right to self-distribute up to 50,000 barrels, I think. So our state is 30. No, it's 3.
6.
No, it's 3. 3,000. It's 3,000 because I think no one's even got. Someone barely got to 2,000 in the state. So like, you know, would I take 10,000 barrels? Sure, but like, does it really functionally mean anything right now? No. It's better to have something like that set low so we have time to understand the context of that. None of our members have asked for more.
50,000.
That's a lot. 50,000 barrels.
I don't know. Cape makes a lot of beer, yo.
They do. And it really, I mean, for all I know, like somebody wanted that because they're going to get into the industry and they own a trucking company. Who knows, right? Although we know that that's not the extent of being a distributor, is owning a bunch of trucks. It's a lot more than that.
It gets to be closer and closer to that every day.
Yeah.
If you ask some suppliers,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just logistics and all that stuff too.
Sure.
So that is that. Other than this entire process,
Oh, yeah.
has a happy ending.
Yeah.
For the 2 guilds. There is the Brewers Guild of New Jersey, and there is the New Jersey Brewers Association, and they are coming together under this wonderful bill passage to say, hey, maybe we should work together, which is a great thing for all of us because we feel when there's a break off of a state guild because it functionally weakens them and it allows people who oppose them to play,
Shove that knife right in the crack.
mom and dad and
Yep, for sure.
Well, dad said you wanted this, but mom says you want this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a parental relationship. I'm talking about just splitting people's
So
opinions.
and we've seen this happen in Colorado,
We did, and they came together.
and that was rough.
I think there was an attempt in Idaho, but that thing kind of went away.
Idaho,
Yeah.
they only have like 7 breweries. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's just a brewery and one guy.
Sure.
So that's that news. I think that's big news. And, sometimes I don't like talking about other states because, as like, oh, they have it worse than us. And, I do appreciate the struggle they go through. I remember having some divided issues. And when you win like that, it brings everyone together. So it's great. But I just want people to know how special we have it here because we didn't have to fight all these things. They were, we did have to fight for some things, but they were very incrementally small battles, or selective, choosing which battles to fight is very important. And so, you don't want to have these big fights because there's a lot of stakes.
I remember one thing you were saying earlier today when you were on a call, that even though alcohol has been regulated since the end of Prohibition in a similar way, and every state came out with their new alcohol rules, that every year we've got another thing to change because time just doesn't stop at the end of Prohibition.
Right.
And there's new products and there's new avenues to market and so many things. So the law is constantly evolving, and that's a lot of it. If you don't have an organization that can help keep those things moving forward, then is one brewery going to do it? Is no one going to do it? That's the question.
Yeah, exactly. And all these laws used to be handled federally, and then after Prohibition, the control was sent mostly to the states. And so, you only have like less than 100 years of case law. And things have changed a lot in those 100 years, and the laws don't get reflected in that a lot. And I sometimes say, like, if you murder somebody in New Jersey and you murder somebody in Arizona under the same circumstances, the penalties and the the trial is going to go very similarly. There's no like, oh, well, in New Jersey, you know, like he used an ice pick and
So that's a whole different category.
Right, yeah.
Right.
or yeah, more so like, oh, there's less implications. There's, you know, like whatever. But so, you know, those kinds of cases have thousands of years of history, right? Like there was no thou shalt not provide a coaster to a retailer if you are not in a distributor relationship and you are not with the distributor. That would have been a long tablet. Moses, you know.
Wow, that guy. That's a big book.
Yeah, yeah. So there was, you know, steal, kill, you know, whole thing. What else is going on?
You know
what?
A couple years ago, what?
I was going to tell you about my week coming up.
Wait, let's
Okay.
take a quick break.
Okay.
Hey, Rob, we're back.
Save.
I know it seemed like it was.
Save the beer.
It seemed like it's no time
Orange
on the
tape.
recording, but
What?
save the beer.
So this is gonna be hard to. I'll try to get a close up in a still photo or something. Yeah. Yep, there it is. The ACBA. On one side it's best of show, and the other side it's something else.
Yeah.
There's two of them. Yeah, I'll take a still of that. And
I know, man. I'm having fun.
okay, you're having
Right by
fun.
your head.
So this is the Dragoon Pilsner.
Which was the Arizona-
2023 ACBA Best in Show and also Gold Medal American Pilsner / Lager. Congratulations to Dragoon and thank you for the shout out for our competition.
That is nice.
Makes us all very proud.
and that's
right?
a printed can, man.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Pretty exciting.
Digital print. Digital print. You in that beer.
I didn't do anything to it. I swear to God.
Okay, so
You're just mad at me.
I'll do a really light cheers.
Oh, cheers.
I won't disturb.
Ah, delicious.
So you are in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to Nogales. So I'm in the Trusted Traveler program, and I renewed, and because of COVID, they were backlogged. They usually interview you periodically, and Brendan didn't get interviewed. I got interviewed. I had an interview that I need to do, but it took forever to get the status, and finally. And they're not really in a hurry because you have to check this website, and I have it in my calendar to check every month. So I missed last month, and so like, a couple months ago, they were like, get an interview. So I click on it and I go, all right.
Where?
I said, what's happening this week? What's happening next week? The only places I could go were Nogales or Douglas. And I'm like, that can't be right. That can't be right. You know, I could go to other states too, but it was like, where's Los Angeles in here? Where is, you know, like,
Yeah, it
where's
was
Denver?
weird.
Well,
El Paso.
It turns out that they only have like, you know, they have 10-minute slots every day from business hours, right? So yeah, like all those are full. So I like the next time I could take it in Phoenix was like almost April. I'm like, I can't let that go. Like I got to take care of that. So
Well, you may have a trip coming up. Who
I
knows?
scheduled, I want to get that cleared before I go to wherever I'm going in March, right? That's why I picked. Anyway, I picked Tuesday, and then like I found out one of the bills and of the many bills that I have to track or that we're involved with has a committee meeting on that day. So I'm like, I had to cancel that, and I chose the next day. And then we went to another meeting and said, oh yeah, we're going to push that to next week. So I could have kept my appointment. I don't know, like when I had to reschedule it, asked me for a reason. I said legislative imperative. Can't wait to be asked about that.
What is this?
I don't know what else to say. What am I? I can't say I have another meeting. It seems very unimportant, right?
Right.
So anyway, I got to get interviewed. So I'm going to Nogales, and I'm going to find out if there's any beer value in Nogales. I did talk to the mayor last year, And, you know, it's the mayor, oh, yeah, we could use a craft brewery down here. I'm like, well, let's see what that.
I don't know which. I don't know what small town in Arizona doesn't want a craft brewery.
No, I know. So that is what I'm going to be doing.
Cool. Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Are you just zipping down and zipping back?
Well, that was the plan. Brenda's like, why don't you go to Douglas and Bisbee? Like, because that's really a long way.
Yeah.
Douglas is not necessarily close to Bisbee.
Bisbee's very far from Nogales.
No. I
Oh,
know.
did you switch to Douglas? Is that what you said?
No, I said
Oh.
I could have done Douglas.
Yeah.
But Douglas isn't very close to.
I don't think I've ever been to Douglas.
I've been to Douglas. Actually, I have interest in going to Douglas at some point. There is a hotel there that Pancho Villa rode his horse up the stairs. I've stayed there. And it's supposed to be remodeled, but I think it fell through again. I think they were going to remodel it. I think this is like the third go around.
Tough
on
getting funding for things
Yeah.
like that, man.
So, and if I change it again, I think I'm going to be.
They're going to kick you out of the trusted traveler
They're
program.
going to kick me out of the country. Yeah, I know.
you can't come in at all anymore.
I don't know. I think
You're
I
going to be on
also-
the OFAC list.
I don't know. I think I also signed up for the Century program, which is you can drive your car across, but I don't know how fond I am of driving my car across the border. I know like this is terrible. Like I don't have this. I don't know. I have to call my insurance company to see if I'm gonna get clipped for it. So I may not drive across. I'm gonna walk across.
Oh, call your insurance company about going over to Mexico in
yeah.
your car? Oh,
Yeah.
see, I just do that. You can just do it.
Yeah, I know.
You want to get a new car anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just
So-
work here.
I'm gonna have to look and see. You might see some coasters from Strong Beer down in Nogales. You never know.
Neat.
You never know.
Dig it.
Anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I have no other plans. There's a ton of bills I have to monitor. that
There's a
I
lot
can't-
going on in the
Cannot
legislature.
get into it right now.
It's crazy.
I will know more next week, and I will know more than that after that. We just had some big meetings, and yeah, it could be a busy session for Rob and Andrew. So, anyway, that being said,
So the reason that beer had save on top of it was because I got 2 of them.
yeah,
I brought them home
yes,
and put them in the fridge to
Yes.
keep them because,
right,
you know, it's a special can.
yeah.
So I brought it home so I could bring them in to the office. And I went and looked one day and one of them was missing because Bonnie drank it. So I didn't want the second one to get drank. So I had to mark it as don't take it.
Was she just drinking it because she just needed a beer? It doesn't seem like her beer of choice. Or is that the only beer you had? Like, she doesn't strike me as a Pilsner drinker. I know she
Oh
likes
yeah, no,
Saison.
she likes Pilsners, yeah. She likes lighter beers than I do.
Okay.
But yeah, no, she had plenty of options. There were 1,000 different
Okay.
things.
So she just did it to hurt you.
It just happened to be there. And she was like, I like Dragoon. I'm going to drink that.
Andrew.
She asked the other day, she's like, why do you have save on this can? I was like, oh, damn. I better bring that in.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Other news.
Other news.
News in the news.
Let's see, what else is this? This is from Fingers.
Well, we have the Drizzly
Yeah.
disappearance, I think is what we might call it.
Yeah. So, was it $1 billion? $1.1 billion. Uber Eats buys Drizzly.
Yeah.
Drizzly is something that you could get that service here, if I recall.
Yes.
There's a couple stores. It's a delivery service, and they work with brick and mortar stores.
Yeah. So they don't have a liquor license,
Right.
but they work with licensed retailers and they pick up and deliver.
Third-party delivery systems.
Right. And you go to drizzly.com and then they get paid for what you put on the front page
Right.
of your order guide. And they made tons of money just by basically being an advertising company that then.
Yeah. So they fit in an area that makes some people uncomfortable in terms of they could promote brands. They could get paid to promote as a third party. And I don't think anyone was comfortable that there wasn't some other arrangement going on there with those kinds of things. That's always the suspicion is like, oh, well, you know, the distributors paying for this, or big beers locking out smaller brands with this kind of device. But since they don't have a distributor or retailer or supplier license, they kind of flew under the radar.
Yeah, there's not really any method for compliance on that, and there's no prohibition against them doing that. So
right, it would be kind of, imagine there were 3 or 4 different options for Amazon that were somewhat equal in service and price. Like if you had a layer over the top of that searched all those and provided you the sale, that's kind of what it looks like. Except for alcohol, there's certain things you can and can't do. Also, speaking of Amazon, the distributors have always been wary of these things because there was a document created by Amazon talking about how they were going to dismantle the middle tier by being a very large retailer with delivery service, and then they denied it. And so this has always put people on edge in that tier. In fact, Craig Purser from the National Beer Wholesalers Association calls what the tier is a safe and effective alcohol ecosystem, and it was being challenged, and it was being by a shadow interest group. I call Amazon a shadow interest group. It's kind of saying something. But so 1.1 billion, and then they just announced that they were phasing it out. Uber Eats.
So Uber Eats has been doing that service for a long time of alcohol delivery from a retailer, and they brought in Drizzly to help learn how to do that. They learned everything, and now they're just shutting down the brand name of Drizzly. They're continuing the service that Uber Eats already provided, and now is just branding it Uber, I guess.
Uber Eats.
Yeah.
So Drizzly, we just talked about, or excuse me, DoorDash. We haven't talked about them, but they're a delivery service. Drizzly was more alcohol focused. Instacart more grocery focused. GoPuff, yeah, and they're in the same sort of mix, but they bought Bevmo, right? Bevmo and some liquor barn in Kentucky.
GoPuff is different from Drizzly in that they hold licenses.
Right.
So they have 13 warehouses around Phoenix Metro,
right,
where they warehouse their own alcohol on their own retail license, and all their other products that they sell, they have them in these giant warehouses, and they send them out, and you get it within an hour. And I got New Sierra Nevada Celebration, and a bottle of champagne for Bonnie, and I don't know what else. Oh, 2 frozen pizzas the other day. This was not my idea, but these things that happen.
I don't know if you were when from this office when these things came out. Like I literally ordered from the Circle K, which is a quarter mile from here. I could walk there. I had walked there. I got it ordered by delivery. I'm like, does this really work? And yeah, it was pretty funny. And the only palatable beer that for me was Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. They didn't have any local offerings, believe it or not. So,
yeah, I don't. The GoPuff thing, I'm not sure what they offered. All I know is that it came.
Yeah. Well, so everybody's finding out that the appetite for this was much greater during the pandemic, and people are becoming more price sensitive about these kinds of things. And also, some of these companies were guilty of ghost kitchens and or supporting ghost kitchens and or hijacking delivery using SEO on the web. So your favorite pizza place, you can get this through this delivery system, and then it'd be unbeknownst to the
which one was that was really bad at
it?
Oh man, it wasn't Uber Eats. It might have been DoorDash.
So these delivery systems are important because, as we showed in a slide a couple weeks ago, they're keeping restaurants in a growth pattern that they normally wouldn't have. So emptier restaurants, but more to-go sales. Yeah, it's that's good, but the danger is when that does collapse, that's a significant. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, right? It's the same thing with breweries. We made less beer, but we took more price. eventually that's gonna.
Same thing with breweries when they say, "Oh, I got 2 placements at Safeway," and then a year later, "Oh, I just lost half my volume." Yeah,
Yeah. The other thing that that affects our small breweries with these delivery systems is if I pick up your beer, if I have an arrangement to deliver for you, and I don't card the person when I deliver, the liquor license that gets violated is yours, not
the brewery.
Yeah, the brewery or the retailer. So, there was an effort to fingerprint these people and do background checks, which, was more than Uber does.
It's the gig economy. People
Yeah.
are there doing deliveries for 2 months and then they never hear from them again, and that's fine. But you can't invest in doing background checks and fingerprints on delaying people 2 weeks of starting that gig. That's not how these things work.
Yeah, so there's that friction, and but the studies show that in deliveries, even though they're supposed to require a signature, that doesn't happen as much as the industry would like you to believe. So it would be concerning to me if I had a business with third-party delivery. I would be checking them all the time.
Yeah, and your ass is on the line if they mess up.
Yeah,
Yeah, not good.
yeah.
So anyways, the point was that Drizzly is no more soon. I don't know if it's gone today, but gone soon.
Yes.
Wild. So much money, that company.
There was you brought this up here. I'm drinking a Pilsner. I didn't really look at this. I'll put it up on this. I'll put it up on the video.
I saw this. It was, I don't know, it might have been a something on Instagram or on X or something. It's a list
Do you mean
of
Twitter?
I don't want to say anything. I don't know what it is.
I refuse to call it that.
I'm not saying anything. It's the top 25 beer style categories growth percentage in the last 52 weeks ending Christmas.
Right.
And number 1 is American IPA, but it did lose a little bit of dollars. And next was Imperial IPA with a huge gain of 28%. Help me understand this, Rob.
We already know the story of this.
Yeah. So tell me what it is, because maybe they don't.
Imperial IPA, that growth is almost exclusively represented by a company out of Colorado
Fort Collins slash Japan.
that is producing these double IPAs at a very low price point in 19.2 ounce cans at convenience stores. It's New Belgium. It's New Belgium. And they just bought a lager company out of, or bought an interest in a lager company out of California. So yeah, they're responsible for this growth. And if you take them out of the picture, then the category has a negative.
I would imagine that category would fall down like 15 or 16 instead of number 2 without that one brand.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But the growth would be negative growth. Meaning,
Right.
Meaning it's losing share for that. But, I have a fondness for New Belgium, but it's locked into a certain era. And it's not just because they sold it. These kinds of products are things that I don't associate with New Belgium.
I mean, IPAs. That's hard enough.
Right. Yes. They were never an IPA company.
Right.
And these kinds of products, I don't like, we just, for funsies, Ken brought over a can of Coke 45 and we drank it just because, so it's not that kind of snobbery, but that company doesn't resemble who I remember. And, I wasn't spending a lot of dollars on their stuff anymore. Not spending a lot of dollars on anyone in particular, per se. These kinds of products just, I don't associate them with that company. And I'm like, I just, you wonder why they even kept the New Belgium name for this product line.
Yeah, there's plenty of breweries that just have a second brand name. Like they could have just called it Voodoo Ranger Brewing Company.
Right.
And that would have worked just as well.
Yeah. it's neither here nor there. I'm just saying, like, you know, like somebody who's a lot younger than me, but like that's what they think of the company,
Right.
and like they can.
Look at us olds talking about
I
our
know,
olden
I know.
days. Keep off the lawn. Another winner is the IPA mix pack, up 25.5.
Mixed packs always do well. It's really of dubious,
But that's increased.
value.
I've seen a lot more mixed packs in the market lately,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
So for a long time, it was mixed packs were going away, and now they're kind of coming back, but they're making them IPAs.
It's really hard to say, oh, well, mixed packs do well, so therefore we should do a mixed pack, because it really depends on the mix, and you have to be in the right. You have to be in the right segment.
Beer Flagship Plus mixed pack.
Yeah.
So that's the one that's got your 3 and a window, right? Mm-hmm. Other mix packs in here? No, that's other beer mix pack down 3.7.
Other beer mix
Other beer mix pack, rounding up the top 25. But to the point of this slide was that Pilsner is up. It's still number 12. It was up almost 2%. American Lager, number 15, up almost 10%. And American Light Lager at 22, up 4.5%. So lighter beers, other than our Imperial IPA and our Hazy IPA and our IPA mix pack, are the winners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone else was negative.
This is like, you know, these are Pilsner, American Lager, Imperial IPA, and then the other's like if they were albums, and then the other one's like, no, that's what I call music, volume 34. Okay. Yeah. Oh, remember volume 10? Oh yeah,
man,
that fell. Too much.
So anyways, that was interesting, seeing that those are kind of the winners right now. I mean, we went on a long tangent about IPAs. That wasn't the point, but we made it.
Right. We got it.
Yeah, what other news do we have?
There was some late news from Brewbound. There's a change of leadership at Sapporo Stone.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, yes.
And again, there's somebody in Phoenix that probably works at a distributor that can tell you what the meaning of this is, and I don't know.
Well, she came over from Lagunitas to
Yeah.
Stone.
Yeah, so it sounds like, and they just got through consolidating Stone and coming off maybe the bad PR of Anchor and the bad decision made with Anchor. I don't know.
I don't.
I don't know how it changes. It doesn't reflect anything here, I don't think.
But the CEO of Stone
Yes.
is out,
Yes.
just straight gone.
Right.
Did it have a successor in line or no?
Yeah.
Former VP of marketing? I'm just stab in the dark here.
Blah, blah, blah. Zachary Keeling, CFO. Yeah. Interim CEO. And there is a movement to rationalize cider taxing.
Yes.
Cider's in a weird spot. I don't know the particulars of this, but I understand the general issue. Cider is considered a wine, and wine is classed out as they pay less tax for non-carbonated or lower carbonated wines. Cider has that as well, but also gets taxed at a very much higher level for highly carbonated things. So it's basically wine and champagne versus, and Prosecco is somewhere in there. Tax at different rates, but champagne somehow got this high tax rate. And I don't know if that was protectionism or inverse protectionism. I don't know what the rationale behind that is. But cider has this distinction too, and that's why you don't see highly carbonated ciders, because it costs a lot. They also at the lower levels get tired. They get taxed more than wine. So I do see an argument there for that to be rationalized.
And there are 2 people in the U.S. Senate who have started a bill on that. Is that what I...
Yeah, from Oregon, and we'll just see how that goes. You know,
Hey, CiderCon is this week in Washington.
I think it's over with.
Ah, shucks.
Yeah.
I missed it.
So
I guess I can't talk about it then.
No, you can listen to the highlights on your trip podcast.
I will tell you one thing I'm not going to be doing during this trip. Listening to any podcasts at all.
Okay.
I have 13 party friends to hang out with.
Right. They on the plane with you?
I'm going to be sleeping on the plane, bro. 11 o'clock at night to 5 in the morning. That's called sleep time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Also, the podcast isn't out now, is it? Maybe on the way back. I'm on the plane during the day on the way back.
I don't know very much about it. I think some people I like were there. Beth Demon, Brian Roth, maybe.
M. Sauter was there, I think.
Okay. So, there'll be some chatter about it. So, I get it. FOMO. You don't want to listen because you don't want to feel bad about not going.
Kind of.
Would you really have gone to CiderCon?
I would love to have gone to CiderCon. Absolutely.
Really? I wouldn't even considered it. I don't know. There's all kinds of other ways I would spend my money.
Oh, I'm not considering spending money to do it.
In the same.
I'm not considering spending money to do it. If I was giving a free ride, I would go.
Okay. Well,
I think there's value to our industry in keeping an eye on related industries. Of course, you feel the same way, but I'm just saying that would be worth my time to do.
Okay.
Yeah. There's beer value in cider.
I'll keep a lookout for it.
All right, Rob. Well, let's wrap this up. Let's not put these kind listeners through any more of this pain.
Right.
We don't have to make it longer just to make it longer.
No. A lot of news. See you when you get back. Maybe I'll record something fun. Who knows?
In Nogales.
Take some pictures. Have a beer value. Have one beer value story.
There you go.
Sentences, not just small bits.
Okay.
Reportage. Little bite-sized pieces.
Sure.
See some beer bubbling.
Yeah.
You're just gonna drink it out of the container still then, right? You're not gonna carbonate it.
Well, I'm going to let it finish fermenting.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it in the container, put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
This container has a little valve.
Yeah. Pressure keg.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put it up and let it crash that way, vent it, and then close it and let it continue carbonating in there and vent it as needed.
Okay.
Maybe wrap some tape around it so if it explodes, I don't know.
Lots of towels.
Lots of towels. We'll see what happens.
Excellent. Well, this is not a beer podcast.
It's a podcast about beer, Rob.
Right. And I hope the beer finds you in the Bahamas.
Oh,
Cheers.
very nice. Good job.